Kelly.
And I'm Deborah.
And together we're Two Gals Travel Tips, and we are talking about questions we've gotten over the last few months. And one of the questions we got is, should I buy trip insurance? And that is such a personal decision. I will say, I just booked a trip to the Galapagos yesterday. I'm going this time next year. And I did buy the trip insurance, and it was a lot of money. It was an expensive trip, so it based on your trip. The expense goes up for that, and I did get it because this COVID stuff is just not going away, and you just never know when you could come down with it, and if it's on 3 days before your trip, there you go. So I did opt to buy the trip insurance to insure my trip, even though I have no intentions of canceling it. I also don't want to lose the money and not be able to go. I'd much rather be able to reschedule. And I think, Deb, you can chime in, but it all depends on the trip. So I'm going to Berlin next May. I bought those tickets. I'm flying a discount airliner. I think I paid $330 round trip per person out of Boston to Berlin. It's my husband and I. And then I will, I haven't yet, rent some Airbnbs. Airbnb, their cancellation policy has gotten much better now with COVID. So I probably won't buy it. I didn't buy it for the tickets for that trip because it's just,
They're cheap.
Yeah. If it happens, it happens. I'll be disappointed, but it's not like I'll be out $10,000.
Right, yeah. And it's really more important if they're non-refundable fares than if they are refundable fares. So, if they're refundable, most things you can, work around, but that makes sense. I would do it based on the expense of the trip and the complexity of my trip. Like your trip to Antarctica that you had planned. Like that would be another one where trip insurance would be a good one.
Yeah, the other thing to think about is if you have any pre-existing medical condition. Now, I don't know much about, so trip insurance will a lot of times cover medical evacuation, which is key, especially depending on where you're going.
Yeah.
So that if you have any kind of pre-existing condition, I would definitely get it. But if you're going to some place where the health system is not up to par, you may want to get that. And in some countries, you have to pay cash or they won't even treat you. So you have to show cash when you walk in the door or they won't see you. It's not like in this country where if you're sick and you show up to an ER, then they can't turn you away in this country. In other places, they can and they will. So just be cognizant of that. And I've heard terrible stories about people getting stuck places and then spending thousands and thousands of dollars. During COVID, people were getting stuck, and the trip insurance would cover if you got stuck somewhere or if you got COVID and you couldn't go. So there's those factors too. Now we don't have to test get it back, so that's not so much of an issue. But if you're sick with COVID, you shouldn't be flying because you're going to infect the entire plane. So you should just probably stay
And
behind.
you can get worse upon the minute.
Right.
So you may not even make the flight.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
So it is a personal decision, but that's kind of how I generally think about it when I'm planning a trip.
Good guidance.